watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and apparently the People's Princess.
Yes.
So she just announced to the desk, I'm the People's Princess.
No. Well, let me explain that. We're talking about what makes the perfect fried breakfast. I'm crying. Fried breakfast, and apparently hash browns should be out, and I totally agree with that. I just don't think hash browns should be on a fried breakfast.
No, well,
Loads of you agree with me, and I said the people are backing me on the People's Princess.
She did say
and
that.
They collapsed in tears of laughter.
Yes.
Anyway, but I'm not wrong. Jan says, "Good morning, my lovelies. I agree with Ellie. Sorry, Stephen. No hash browns replaced with thick bread and unsalted butter.
Oh no,
instead.
salted butter. Salt. Oh, that's a salt.
I have to say, I really love fried bread.
Fried bread.
Fried bread is fantastic. So.
Well, Jason says no hash browns. You need a slice of fried bread.
Yeah.
Andrew says proper hash browns, not frozen ones.
Oh.
Also, beans should never be a breakfast food.
Right, can't hear that. That's sacrilege. Eat beans.
Robert, bacon, egg, soda scone. Oh yeah, potato scone.
Yeah.
Beans, tomato, sausage, hash browns, and coffee.
Anne says, I'm with Ellie again. No hash browns.
Oh, you princess.
And Julie says, hash browns definitely not. Yuck. Love the show.
Oh.
We've got loads on Twitter as well, I must say.
Dulcie says, ignore Biggins, do try veggie black pudding. But Dulcie might have a point because she says she loves mushroom fried eggs and hash browns for a veggie breakfast. Saying that, she's cooking pancakes today.
Oh, good, I'll be round.
You started something now, haven't you? Honestly, so many of you getting in touch on that, so do keep them coming in.
Yeah.
There is somebody here who doesn't like...
Michelle, hash browns are the best. Hash browns are the best. Quite right, Michelle.
Yeah. And Dominic is not very impressed with us. Stephen and Ellie, really, please can we raise the standards of breakfast? Smoked salmon, scrambled eggs with toast on silver service. Very fancy on a Saturday.
With a little bit of caviar on top.
Oh, there you go. But that's not a budget breakfast, is it? Anyway, as you see, Biggins is here to take us through the papers, along with commentator Candice Holdsworth. Good to see you both this morning. Let's start with a song, or rather not, if you're at the BBC. In the Times, Biggins.
By the way, Stephen, you're my prince.
Oh, thank you very much. It's about time someone said it.
Yes, this is, again, the BBC are losing its way. There was tears at a concert, a farewell to the BBC singers, which they're getting rid of. I mean, I think it's awful because, you know, the BBC should be encouraging opera singers and singers of classical music, as with orchestras. Otherwise, we're not going to have orchestras. Orchestras will be dead in a couple of years' time. Well, I think because they're so expensive, but that's where the BBC should be aiming for in putting these things on. Now, I know for a fact that the coronation, which is coming up in May, they are looking for singers. So
It's the BBC.
The BBC. So they're getting rid of singers in order to then rebook singers. I suppose it's money cheaper, you see, than having regular people on the payroll.
Oh, it gives a new context to sack and rehire.
I know, but I think this is why all the singers, the concert singers, are really up in arms about it.
Do you think the BBC are focusing on the wrong departments? I mean, in the last newspaper review, you're talking about that focus on the younger generation and getting them to watch and listen to the BBC. But you've got fantastic things like BBC singers, BBC orchestras, and they're the ones receiving the cut.
I think that's really bad because I think, and fun enough, I went to do Newsnight the other night at the BBC, and it was at 10:30 at night because that's when the Newsnight is on. And the BBC there is on something like 8 floors, going everywhere. Empty, of course, because it was that late at night. But they have 20,000 employees, apparently, in that building. Now, does that seem a little bit too much for running one channel?
I think so. We do it on 6.
6 people producing this. I think there's 200 total at GBNEWS.
Yeah, well, 20,000, I believe.
Wow.
Seems an awful lot.
It does seem a lot, mind you. There's a lot of output, isn't there?
Yeah, and there's a lot of things all over the world, but even so. But they should be concentrating, I think, on things like classical music, you know, which everybody loves. Even the young people love that.
Yeah, you so do, yeah.
I like a bit of classical music, and I'm extremely young.
Yeah, you are extremely young for a prince.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the Express candies, should we? Poppies. We have a passion for poppies in this country because of the Royal British Legion, but actual poppies are facing extinction.
Yeah, so this has actually been going on for a while. So this story is covered in the Express now, that poppies are at risk of disappearing because of changes in agricultural methods. I mean, I remember stories from about 10 years ago saying that poppies are on the decline for these same reasons. It's new herbicides that are being used, fertilizers, the way different seeds are planted. They just can't compete anymore, and you're going to see fewer and fewer of them. I mean, I occasionally see a poppy growing wild, but they've definitely become a lot more scarce. And that's a pity because they are an iconic flower. And we do need to put more effort into cultivating them. But then again, I suppose things evolve over time. I mean, there's plenty of flower varieties that probably existed in the past that we don't see now.
It is a shame when we see things go, though.
It is.
Like that. Primroses. Even when I was a kid, primroses were everywhere. You never see them now.
But it's interesting. I don't know if you saw the news item last week, I think it was, when at the Tower in London, they did the most incredible display of wildflowers, and they've just been raking it over in order to do a new one, and they just throw these seeds, and it's just wild. And there's poppies there, there's everything you could possibly want, and I love that in a garden. I think that's really wild and fantastic.
It is.
Yeah, they've become really popular, wildflower meadows, actually.
Yes.
They're so good for bees and insects.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
They look
beautiful.
beautiful, all the
Right.
colours, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Biggins, let's head to you, shall we? And this
Yes.
is the Eye Weekend. Australian man breaks world record for longest surfing session.
I know. Blake Johnson he's done the world record at Cornelia Beach in Sydney, and he's 40 hours he surfed.
What?
Mad. 40 hours he surfed and broke the record,
week.
which was, I think, what does it say here? Yes, it was. He beat the record by nearly 10 hours, braving potential jellyfish stings and shark attacks. Well, there's always one, isn't there? I mean, mad as a hatter he must be.
How can you stand on a surfboard for 40 hours?
Well, I do that once a fortnight. Yeah. When I'm, out there in the surf. Are you a surfer?
No.
No, nor am I. No.
Imagine me in a wetsuit.
Well, actually,
Dear me. They'd be calling the RSPCA a beached whale on the beach. It'd be terrible.
no, Ellie, I can see you doing that. Ellie,
Me?
yeah, I can see you doing surfing.
I couldn't do that with my hair.
No, I was going to say.
Oh, her hair, of course. Oh, yes.
Couldn't get my hair wet. No, but you're Australian. You surf before you walk properly, don't you?
But he did raise 200,000 Australian dollars, which is 110,000 pounds, for the Chumpney Pullin Foundation. So that's good. But I mean, a marvellous effort.
Yes. They're all crackers, these people. They're all mad.
They are.
They're all mad.
Candice? Yep. Do you want to talk about peanuts in the sun? This is quite an interesting story. It's about cutting deadly allergy risk by basically feeding nuts to babies earlier.
Yes. So this is a story in The Sun. It was research carried out by the University of Southampton, which found that if you feed children peanut butter from about 4 months of age, it cuts the allergy risk. And I think the conventional wisdom was that children should only have peanut butter when they're about 3 years old, but this shows no, give it to them much earlier. And it's interesting because I have children and I've been giving them peanut butter since they could eat, since they could start having solid food. They had it from 6 months old. I mean, I had no idea you were only supposed to give it to them when they were 3 years old. They love it. They eat it and it's great for them. And they said in this article, if children are prone to eczema, they should definitely get peanut butter earlier because they're the ones who tend to develop the peanut butter allergies. And my son has eczema, so
there you go.
thing. A happy accident, I suppose.
Okay, to show the viewers how your son eats his peanut butter.
Oh, yes, I was telling for bacon. So my youngest, whenever I give him peanut butter on toast, he takes it and he just licks the peanut butter. Absolutely loves it.
A man after my own heart.
I do like a bit of peanut butter. But it's
me
interesting, all these things, there were so many peanut allergies and things about now. So start them off young.
Yeah.
If it deals
It makes
with that.
sense, doesn't it, to expose them young.
It does. Saturday Night TV begins in the mail.
Yeah, I know. A surprise, referring to Cilla Black, who used to be the queen of Saturday night television, of course, years and years ago. And now they're saying there's not a single female host on Saturday night TV this year. Of course, they have to say this year because as there is Claudia Winkleman and Tess Daly. By the way, did you see Claudia Winkleman's programme on the piano?
No.
Oh, go and see. It's the best television this year. It's absolutely wonderful. They go to all these railway stations where they have a piano.
Yeah.
They've got one in Paddington and they've got them in Scotland. And they're all over. And it's wonderful. They had these people go along and play, all amateurs, and then they chose one from each episode and they had a concert at the festival hall. It was really wonderful. But anyway, they're saying that, of course, the rest of Tess Daly, they're saying the rest of it is of course, Anton Deck, you know, and the BBC is just man after man after man hosting every quiz programme. And top agent, Sue Eiton says, come on, let's bring back females. We want to see more females on television on a Saturday night, prime time.
Oh, Sue Eiton gets a mention, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Years ago, she used to represent me.
Did she?
Well, yes, they were the two Sues, they were called.
Yeah.
And they do, and I think she still represents Angela Rippon and all that. They do a lot of big people.
Yeah.
Sue Eiton, she's very nice.
She no longer represents you now, does she?
No, I don't have anyone.
No, you don't?
I'm self-basting. I do all my own.
Oh, right. Oh, very good.
Well, it's because I'm tight, you see, and I don't like to pay commission. It's the commission. So there you
It's
go.
all taxable, you know.
Well.
Taxable.
Oh, is it taxable?
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, might have to go back. Oh, lovely stuff. That's great. Thank you both very much. It's been great to see you this morning.
And you both.